Hey everybody, welcome back to 3 Generations Restoration. We're going to do a little year in review of all the tractors we bought this year. Go over what happened with each one, where each one is, and what we did to each one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Didn't do as many tractors this year as the years prior, but had a lot going on. So let's get right into the video, and I hope you guys had a good new year. And stay tuned because hopefully we'll make this year better than last year. All right, everybody, so you're looking at a total conglomerate of every single tractor that was purchased this year. In total, we had 24 tractors, bunch of different brands, bunch of different models, coming from a bunch of different places. I think this picture is just super cool. Just shows everything, all the different colors, the different types of tractors that we got. But yeah, I think we're gonna start with the first tractor that we bought. We're gonna go through on each tractor, where I got it from, what we did to it, where it went, and stuff like that. There'll be a little odds and ends to it each one, so I think you guys will really like this video, so stay tuned. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the first tractor. All right, guys, so the first tractor we bought was this BF Avery Model A tractor. This tractor actually was a trade. This was the first one we got. We had a Massey Harris 101 Junior that we had been trying to sell and sell and sell, and it wouldn't sell. Guy in Indiana had this BF Avery, and we decided to do a trade without even seeing this tractor. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, we kind of got burned a little bit on this. At the end of the day, we did okay. The guy said it ran okay. We got it to the shop. It ran fine, but as soon as the engine got a little warm and the oil started getting a little bit thinner, the engine started knocking. So we ended up putting this one up for sale, and it ended up going real close to home, and it is pretty much just yard art now. The guys that bought it came and turned it into like a little flower patch ornament, which honestly, it looks pretty good when I drove by. It's sad to see stuff like this do that, but at the end of the day, people, when they buy stuff, they can obviously do whatever they want. Kind of the first tractor of the year, kind of getting off to a bad start, but sometimes you get those, and you obviously just have to move on. So yeah, this was the first one, BF Avery Model A. All right, so the next tractor we bought actually came in a package of 3. This is the first one. This is a Cleat track Model E62. We picked this up, obviously it's middle of January, so frigid temperatures. And if you look very closely, you can see that the tracks are buried in the dirt, probably a good 5-6 inches. This was a tall order to get out of the dirt. We literally had a skid steer there and 3 blow torches to get these tracks freed off the ground. We didn't want to push on this thing too hard, and otherwise you'd snap the tracks. But overall, we did get it out. It had been sitting at this guy's place for, I would say, I've been driving by it for like 15 years plus, and it had been sitting there. The guy's moving, so he decided to sell his tractors. We got this one home. The engine turned over. Surprisingly, all it had was one stuck valve and just needed the points filed down. But it runs, it drives, it steers surprisingly good. The one side of the brakes is a little weak, and the tracks are also shot. I still have this tractor. I'm pondering selling it just because it's kind of a cool piece. But honestly, I'd like to keep it, but to keep it, I really want to find a set of tracks. What's really going for this thing are the side curtains. Those are super, super hard to find. So honestly, it just sits. Obviously, do no harm in sitting as long as I get, mess around with it every now and then to keep the juices flowing. Just sitting is really when these things develop gremlins. So I still got this Cleat Track E, and the status of it is kind of up in the air. So let's move on to the next tractor. All right, guys, so the next tractor we bought from the same guy was this Case Model C. And as you guys can see, it is in original condition. And to be honest, it looked very, very nice. But we did end up painting this tractor. I know that can kind of get a lot of people mad, but people really like to see these painted up tractors sometimes. And you do your best to leave them in the work clothes, but at the end of the day, these tractors do look the best. Sometimes I'll paint it up. We got this tractor, it turned over, it didn't run. The guy said it did run, and he was obviously right. We got it back to the shop, filed the points down. I mean, within 2-3 pulls, it fired right up. Once it fired up, it blew the main serpentine belt off, so we had to fix that. I had to rebuild the carburetor on this. We serviced this one. Trying to think of what else. I think we put a different hood on it because that hood that's on it right there had a bunch of holes in it that came with 3 different hoods and stuff like that. So it was a pretty good deal. But yeah, pretty nice tractor here. It was the first KC we bought this year. We bought 2 of them. We'll end up getting to the next one. So this one ended up going to a gentleman, and he actually was going to park it in front of his bar as like an ornament. But he also was going to end up driving it around. He didn't want it to sit. So yeah, pretty nice tractor. Nice little Case C. All right, everybody. So we've seen a bunch of different brands: Avery, John Deere, Cleat, Case. We're on to the next brand, Oliver. This was the 3rd tractor we got from the same gentleman, Oliver 77 row crop. We bought this tractor. It was locked up when we got it. And you ain't gonna believe why it was locked up. So we were beating on the pistons, trying to get this engine to be free. And my grandpa came down, and with his wisdom, we got the thing unlocked because the starter was stuck. We freed the starter up, and we were driving it around, and next thing you know, the engine locked up again, and the starter was locked up again. So we had to order a new starter, and that was the only problem with this tractor when we bought it. We did run into a few hiccups. The side curtains that came with the tractor were actually for a Super 88 Oliver. We had a 77, so the side curtains were a little smaller. So we ended up trading a guy our panels for his panels, and ended up turning out very nicely on this tractor. A couple younger guys came down and bought this, and they were going to use it for pulling. And I'm not going to lie, this is a very, very nice tractor. Brand new tires, freshly done engine. Yeah, this was a really, really good tractor, guys. Continuing on with different brands, we got ourselves a Massey Harris 30. We bought this tractor at auction in Woodstock. It didn't run when we got it. When we brought it into the shop, had a few leaks, sediment bowl. One of the valves was stuck, so we had to take that apart and lap that valve. And this being a overhead, or not overhead, I should say, but like the valves are inside the engine, it makes it a little bit difficult to do some of this work. But we got it done. We got the engine running good, the carb rebuilt, bunch of leaks fixed. Tractor runs really good now. We actually have not sold this tractor yet. It's still up for sale. So if you're interested in this Massey Harris 30, please feel free to comment down below and I'll reach out to you. Next tractor on the list that we got this year is a Ford 9N. We got it at the same auction we bought the Massey Harris at. This tractor did not run when we got it. It had no spark and the carburetor needed rebuilt. But outside of that, very nice tractor. It had been recently repainted, had new tires on it. So we rebuilt the carburetor, redid the distributor on the front so we could have spark again. And the thing fired right up and ran like a kitten. Purred like a kitten, I should say. So outside of that, we didn't do too much to it. We actually ended up trading this tractor for a John Deere MT, which we'll get to eventually. Pretty damn good tractor, though. I liked this 9. It was one of the better ones that we've had in a while. All right, guys. So the next tractor is another John Deere A. This one does look pretty similar to the one that you saw at the beginning of the episode, but this one's totally different. We got this on trade. We had an Alice Chalmers WD that was all painted up and done, and this guy had a John Deere A that had new tires, was all painted up and done. So we did an even up trade. We got this John Deere A, and we didn't do anything to it. I think all I did was maybe put a different battery in it because that's all it needed. We ended up selling this John Deere A to a repeat customer. He bought a John Deere G from us a while back, and he displayed it at the Edgerton Rock River Threshery. And he ended up buying this John Deere A to complete his collection. He has an A, a B, and a G. Very, very nice John Deere A here. The second one we bought this year. All right, so the next tractor we bought is another Ford tractor, although this one's a 9N. Or, I'm sorry, this one is a 8N. I get the two confused all the time. We bought this one. It was very close to home. We bought it. It was non-running. It had rotten tires on it. It had rotten fenders on it. It had a rotten hood on it. Everything about the tractor was abysmal. But we got it running. It ran really good. It had a aftermarket alternator on it, so it had been converted to 12 volt. And if you look at the last tractor, the Ford tractor, that one had also been converted. This one had a nice deluxe seat on it, and I can't remember, it had another, I think it was an aftermarket radiator on it too, which was pretty nice. So we had to take the hood and stuff off to do a bunch of repairs. When I get further and further into this episode, you'll see that we bought another tractor, another Ford 8N, and we pretty much used it for parts for this tractor. We robbed the hood, the fenders, the tires, and everything off that tractor for this tractor here. And you can see this Ford looks very nice. We ended up selling this to a guy who was pretty much just going to be driving it around in his yard, driving it around the neighborhood, picking kids up in his trailer and taking them for Halloween. Very, very cool tractor. Another good Ford tractor. We don't really have much of them in a while, so it's good to see these around. So the next tractor we bought is this Farmall F20. This F20 had the overdrive transmission in it, and it had all new tires on it, had been recently repainted, and if you can look very closely, it has the spark arrestor muffler on the top, which are all pretty rare options for a Farmall F20 of this vintage. It's a later F20, so you can see that the rear hubs are different. Same with the front. This thing would go almost 20 miles an hour down the road. And we bought this at auction. It didn't run. And it was honestly because the people at the auction didn't know how to start the thing. We put a little fresh gas in it, checked for spark. It had spark. And I started it right up and drove it onto a trailer the same day. And it ran perfect. We had a guy within a week come and pick it up from us, and he was going to be displaying this thing in North Carolina at tractor shows. So this tractor is now on the East Coast in North Carolina, which is very, very cool to see. One of the best F20s I've ever had, though. So the next tractor we bought is this Farmall or McCormick Deering I'm used to saying F20, but McCormick Deering W4. We actually bought this tractor on the same day that we did that F20. I saw it on Marketplace, looked like a good deal, and I just had to have it. And I'm going to be honest, it was kind of a mistake buying this thing. I call it the license plate W4 because someone used probably 15 gallons of Bondo and 3 license plates to patch the rear fenders on this tractor. It's in pretty rough shape. The hoods are bent. The front grille is damaged. The tires are junk. But dang, does it run good. And that's really the best thing I can ask for. It runs good. The transmission is quiet. And on W4, to have those two commonalities is a very good plus. I like to watch Squatch253, his videos, and he's got 2 W4s. One's a super and one's a regular. And those blow this one out of the water. So as of what's going on with this, Nothing. I'm looking for tires right now for it, and they are pretty dang hard to find. They're 1326s, so they're an oddball tire size. So if you have any tires and you're in the northwest, northeast Chicagoland area, hit me up or comment down below, and maybe we'll be able to make out a deal or something. But yeah, haven't gotten anything done to this W4. I actually just got done winterizing stuff. So this was one of those things too that's like to run a few times every month just to make sure everything's juiced up. All right, so this Minneapolis Moline M5, we actually bought this for the rims and the tires, and we made a pretty honest mistake because we had a Minneapolis U, and we saw, oh, they're the same exact tire. But wait, the rims weren't the same. So we pretty much bought this tractor for the rims and tires and ended up not even using the rims and tires. This tractor turned over when we got it. We attempted to start it. It ran on ether, but it had a lot wrong with it. We actually had one of our good friends. He's a Minneapolis Moline collector. He came down and bought it. We didn't make much on it, but at the end of the day, he's going to do something with it, whether it's use it for parts or combine a bunch of tractors to make one good one. I don't know what he did with it, but that's where this Minneapolis Moline M5 went. So, not the best looking tractor, but, could have had some potential, just not to us. All right, so the next thing we bought is this little HA98 4-cylinder John Deere engine. I got a front view of it here. It was one of the only pictures I could find that was halfway decent of it. We bought this at the same place we got that Minneapolis, and all we really did to this thing was I had to take the starter apart. It's a very difficult starter to find parts for at all, being that it's one of them 4-cylinder John Deere engines with just a slim, margin of where these tractors or where these engines would be in, because these originally came out of harvesters or combines, so very hard to get parts for. So I had to take the starter apart and replace bushings and replace the brushes with other parts I had scrounged around. But it started up and it ran good. So we're decided on selling it. I don't have a need for it. It's got 2 types of PTO on the back, 2 different speeds. So pretty cool little unit. If you're interested in this, comment down below because I still have it and it is still for sale. All right, so the next tractor that we bought is this Farmall M. We picked this up from a guy near to us in Richmond. He had a John Deere tractor we bought from him the year prior, and he had this Farmall M that was his dad's. We ended up picking it up, and we didn't get to it until just recently. We bought the thing, I think, in May, and we just got done with it. We have been jam-packed busy with other things, so obviously you guys have noticed, but the tractors and the videos have kind of been pushed to the side. We've had a little bit more of important things going on for work and for stuff going on with my dad. But nonetheless, we just got this done. It turned out spectacular. It's up for sale. It hasn't sold yet, so if you guys are interested in a very good-looking Farmall M, comment down below. All right, guys, so here's that Ford 9N parts tractor I was telling you about. We got this just right up the road. Our neighbor had it. It was sitting in a hedgerow. Engine was locked up. Transmission was locked up. Steering was stuck. But it had all the hoods and all the fenders and all the tires that we could have possibly needed on it to complete that other Ford that you guys just recently saw. So we took it all apart, swapped parts over, made it so it was a drivable, movable tractor. Got the transmission freed up just so we could move it, and we towed it down the road with a 40/20. But we had another guy come and get it. He needed parts off of it that we didn't need, so he came and picked it up. It's like we didn't make any money or anything off of it. We just didn't want to have it around. We didn't have a use for it. We didn't need to part it out because we had everything we needed. So that's where this little Ford went, and I don't know what happened to it, whether it was just completely robbed or if another guy just wanted to make good of it, but I think it probably was robbed. It was a one of the rattiest Fords I've ever seen outside of the good hoods and fenders. All right, so the next tractor we got was the John Deere MT. If you remember back with that Ford 9N that we traded for this is the MT. We got this tractor from that deal, and it was running, driving, everything looked good, and we got it back, and the sidewall, one of the tires blew out on the rear. This is a tractor where the rear tires are extremely difficult to find. It took us a few months, but we finally got one new tire for it. The other side was in very good shape, but you could tell the one other side was been rotten for a while. So we got new tires on this thing finally and got it all painted up, and it turned out fabulous. It looks very, very nice, especially in like the picturesque fall background. So if you guys are interested in a nice John Deere MT, hit me up and comment down below. All right, so here's another tractor we got. We got this from the same guy we got the John Deere MT from. This was a whole separate deal, and I'm going to be honest, guys, we really screwed up on this deal. We bought this thing, and I'm not going to lie, we bought this thing for $800, an F12. We bought it for the tires pretty much. The back tires are brand new. I have tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. I could not get this thing running. I think the next thing, we did a couple compression tests, but I want to do a compression test while it's really turning over to see how the health of the engine is, to determine how deep we really do need to dig into this tractor. But at the end of the day, it's got new tires on it, so I can get my money back there. But it is an F12 at the end of the day, and F12s really don't bring a whole lot. So kind of a little bit of a mistake. At that point, I felt like we had to have it. And that's kind of a mindset I'm trying to get out of, where I don't need to have every tractor I see. I can pass on certain things, and this is probably one in hindsight I probably should have passed on. So this is the F12. We still got it. We're still working on it. All right, next two tractors are both Farmall H's. The first Farmall H we got is one with a loader. Not much special about this H. We bought it, got it to the shop, noticed the engine was burning oil, so we parked it. I'm thinking about maybe doing rings and valve guides on this thing just because, it's not like it's expensive. Just the most important part of the job is the time. I mean, it'll take me a few days to do that job, which at the end of the day is no big deal, but just been so busy, haven't had the chance to work on this thing. So it sat. I ended up taking the loader off of it and sold it. So that's what happened to the loader. I prefer these H's without loaders on them because you can tell that H just looks ugly. So yeah, I'm still got this one and planning on working on it eventually. All right, so the next Farmall H we got was in Marengo, pretty close to us. We got it from a guy who he wanted a lot for it to start with. But we got there and we were upfront and honest. We're like, this thing is only running on 2 cylinders right now. And it also would not idle up. It would die immediately. And this tractor here, I had in the shop for a week. I could not figure out what was wrong with it. And it took until my second time looking at the carburetor when I noticed that someone had rebuilt this thing before and they forgot to put the Venturi back in the carburetor. So it was missing a key part of the carburetor. Got that fixed. Now it would idle up, but it was still missing on 2 cylinders. So I looked at the timing and I noticed that the 2 plug wires were mismatched. Swapped that around and the tractor ran perfectly. So all in all, it was just a bunch of troubleshooting to figure out why this thing was running rough. But at the end of the day, I didn't do anything outside of just that work to it. I did fix the sediment bowl. It needed a new gasket. Those tend to leak pretty well after sitting for quite a while. But I did just put this one up for sale, so if you're interested in a nice H with a straight pipe on it, comment down below. All right, guys, we're getting there. We only have a few tractors left. And this one here is probably one of my favorite tractors we bought this year. Probably is my favorite. This is a Case C, very similar to the one you saw at the beginning of the episode here. This one has a bunch of add-ons that most Cases typically didn't have, and that would be the light on the front and the overhead ROPS or the canopy. That just really sets this tractor off. It also has the moto meter. There's a little gauge on top of the radiator that tells you the temperature of your coolant or your water, and it's pretty cool. It says cool, run, and then it says danger, not hot. So we have this in the collection. I got it up for sale for like my do not sell it price, but if someone's interested and wants to throw me a boatload of cash, I don't care. It can go to someone who would appreciate it. I drive it around. It's really nice. Very, very nice tractor, guys. So probably one of my favorite ones this year. All right, next tractor we bought, and I'm not going to lie, this is another favorite one, but this is a John Deere 730 diesel electric start wide front, square axle wide front. We bought this in Poplar Grove along with the 630 you see in the background, which we're going to go over here in a little bit. The guy that I got it from, he was an older gentleman. He just couldn't get up on it, didn't want it anymore, just because it was super hard to get on step-wise. He also said the PTO didn't work and the 3-point didn't work. At the end of the day, the PTO was disengaged and the 3-point pump was off, which is no big deal. Me and my grandpa, we went on a John Deere 730 tractor ride, which you guys just recently saw, and I love this tractor. It's just immaculate. Just love driving it. My grandpa loves reminiscing on times of actually using these things back in the day, so it's a good tractor to add to the collection, and I'm not selling this one. Not yet, at least. All right, so here's the John Deere 630 that I was just telling you guys about. We got this from the same guy. And this one was in his barn. He hadn't ran it in probably 20 plus years. And the carburetor and the sediment bowl told that story. They were gummed up bad. So we took them both apart, rebuilt those, and the thing fired right up. It runs immaculately. Now it's got a couple power steering problems. When you start it up, it likes to turn left right away. I don't know why. There's some sort of a relief or some sort of a valve that's stuck, but it doesn't bother me. I'm thinking about getting this thing steamed off here soon and painted up. I think it would look very, very nice like that. We'll get everything else fixed, obviously, before that, but you'll be seeing this one here all painted up here shortly. So, nice John Deere 630. We haven't had a 630 or a 730 in a long time. All right, so the next tractor we bought is actually a little bit something out of our realm of antique tractors, but we bought this TYM Tongying Wushan Korean tractor. This came from a guy up the road. It had a couple problems on it that we fixed. It's got a couple problems that we still have to fix. It's 4-wheel drive, loader, quick attach, 3-point, PTO, diesel, cat diesel engine, which is pretty sweet. We're using this around the shop right now as like just kind of like our tractor to have. It's nice to get on this instead of the skid steer to, just do odds and ends and stuff like that. So I don't know what we're going to do with this yet. When we have a couple people that want to buy it, we just don't know what we want to do with it just yet. So kind of a cool little tractor from Korea. So don't know what to think of it yet. You haven't used it a whole lot, so we'll see what happens with the TYM. So here is the second to last tractor. So this is actually the last farm tractor we bought of the year. The next one was actually something different. But this is a Farmall H. We love our Farmall H's here at 3 Generations Restoration. They're kind of like our bread and butter. We bought this one from a guy in Harvard, and all I did was I put a new throttle linkage on the top that was destroyed, fixed the lights, and I can't remember, I did something else to it. I think I replaced the muffler and took out a bunch of dents in the hood. Ended up being a really nice tractor, very crisp engine, very, very strong sounding transmission. And this is another one of them tractors that a guy came and picked up right away. And he uses it. He's in a neighborhood and likes to just drive it around the neighborhood. He told me he wanted to drive around the neighborhood to piss his neighbors off. So hey, Farmall H will do that, especially wide open. So yeah, second to last tractor of the year right there. All right, so the last tractor construction equipment thing we bought this year was this John Deere 555 crawler loader. Obviously not no antique tractor, but I'm just going to include it here because it is a purchase we made and it is an older piece of equipment. We bought this, we went and looked at it, and it hadn't ran in a year. Mice had gotten into it, so they destroyed the whole entire ignition system and the entire gauge system underneath the dash. So we fixed all that, and the engine had a bunch of leaks, fixed all those, and the transmission had a little bit of water in it, so we had to flush the transmission out. We replaced the steering clutch oil, adjusted the brakes, and yeah, it's a pretty good machine. We got to replace some hoses on it. We don't have the space in the shop right now to work on it, but outside of that, it's a pretty good crawler loader, and might be something that we might be adding to my dad's excavating fleet, or we might be selling. I don't know yet. Pretty dang nice John Deere tractor though. All right, so I'm going to bring you guys back to the collage of tractors we bought this year. Total of 25. I messed up when I first counted because I didn't include that John Deere at the end. But 25 tractors for 2025 is actually kind of hilarious. 25 for 2025. Although we did do less this year than last year. I think last year we did 37 or something like that. But I was also gone for a significant time in February. I was gone for a significant time in August. And we have not been at the shop working on tractors for a significant time from, I would say, September to October. We've been doing excavating, and I've been working overtime at work, so we just haven't had much time to work on these things. And I think in 2026, I want to do better by the channel. I really want to try to put more consistent videos out there for you guys and just really make this YouTube channel how I envisioned it. A video a week, and just videos that can help you guys feel confident with restoring your own tractors or even buying a tractor. Because at the end of the day, I can't be the only one buying tractors and using them because, you know, people out there need to buy my stuff. I need to buy their stuff. So making these videos helps other people at the end of the day as well. And that's what why I like doing these YouTube videos. It's a good hobby. It's a fun thing I like to do. So, and obviously with your guys' support, it makes it easy for me to keep doing YouTube. So I thank you guys for supporting me in 2025, and I hope that you continue to support me in 2026 as we continue this YouTube endeavor here on 3 Generations Restoration. And I think with that, we'll catch you guys at the next video, and stay tuned for more.